When was the last time you have found yourself right in the middle of a crowd? Crowds are a strange kind of animal. They are places where people can find themselves in, but they can also be places where they can lose themselves in. Crowds can either be a home or a desert. On Palm Sunday, Jesus was caught in the middle of a crowd, cheering, glorifying, following him. He was their hero. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna! Yes, the crowd recognized. They welcomed Jesus. He was the great healer, after all, wasn't he? The Messiah they had been waiting for. They opened wide the gates of Jerusalem to welcome him. But, and the big but, you never know how quickly the beauty of a worshipping crowd can turn into a vicious and poisonous creature. It didn't take long before the same people of Jerusalem gathered again as a crowd, this time in the yard of Pontius Pilate. And this time the cries of Hosanna changed into frantic cries of crucify him. The worshipping crowd quickly transformed itself into a bloodthirsty crowd. Jesus had seen it coming a long time before. He fed the crowds, was worried about them, worked miracles to heal them, but he also openly challenged the crowds that followed him. You are looking for me because you ate the bread and had all you wanted, and not because you understood my miracles. Yes, there is a problem with crowds. With them, what you see is not always what you get. First they cheer you, then they destroy you. But before we condemn anyone or any crowd, let us take up this challenge ourselves. Why do we believe in Jesus? Why do we want to follow him? Like the Jews, we too are looking for bread, healing. We too are part of a crowd constantly claiming for Jesus to solve our problems, to fulfill our needs. We too are part of that immense, needy, suffering human family. But what kind of crowd do we belong to? And what can help a crowd to become family rather than a bloodthirsty, irrational, and cruel beast? The answer is simple and yet so challenging. Never lose sight of your neighbor next to you. A crowd is a crowd when a group of neighbors are together but fail to see each other. A crowd is the best place to hide and the best place to be lost. Yet, a crowd can indeed become a family when people get to know the neighbor next to them, one by one, person by person. We call family the place where we know that we are known. It is the best, the only place where we can be found and where we can find ourselves. In a family, we are not simply one among others. We deeply and truly belong to those we are and live with. And this is the big challenge and the marvelous gift. Belonging is finding a home. Jesus was familiar with the crowds. He preached, fed, healed, walked with the crowds. But he was never part of a crowd. He was faithful to himself, authentic, sincere, transparent. Jesus did not save us by healing, feeding, teaching crowds. Jesus saved us by joining us and taking upon himself our wounds, pains, hunger, thirst, and, however shocking this might sound, also our sins. That far did Jesus go to really and completely belong to us, poor human beings. On this Palm Sunday, let us welcome, let us celebrate with joy and gratitude the entering of Jesus into Jerusalem, the holy city. No, I am not speaking of the earthly Jerusalem, nor the Jerusalem of our comfort zones to which we get attached and retreat to. I'm not speaking of our religious, social, cultural traditions and habits. I'm not speaking of our set beliefs or our pet ideas or convictions, which too often and too quickly become our sacred city, or, if you want, our sacred cow. Jesus is not offering us the security of our own righteousness or the guaranteed safety of belonging to the proper and only official faith. No, no. We are not saved because we belong to the right faith group, to the right crowd. We are saved when we believe and act on our beliefs. Yes, like the people welcoming Jesus into Jerusalem, let us have the courage to take off our cloaks. And that means our complacencies, our prejudices, our pride, our petty interests. Let us place them at the feet of Jesus so he can enter deep into our own personal inner Jerusalem. Let us allow him to enter in the innermost corners of our personal, social lives, even our self righteousness, so that he may draw us out of our individualism and selfishness. This is why he came to us. This is why he became one of us, so that he will transform us from an anonymous lost crowd into the beauty and dignity of belonging to one family, one body, one spirit, his own spirit, whose name is love. Let us welcome him, not just by waving palm branches or singing songs, but by walking right next to him the whole way up to Jerusalem, up to Calvary. Standing by the cross of Jesus was Mary, his mother. She stood out of the crowd to be with her son in his passion. It's the only way we can help to transform any crowd, any group, any church into a loving and a saving family. His passion, his death are the only way that will lead us to the real and glorious life we have been created for. Never forgetting that unless a grain of wheat dies, it will never bear any fruit. God bless you, and may I wish you a blessed and holy week and a wonderful and blessed Easter.